Howdy folks. So I think we should do a little bit of housekeeping first. The results are in. The book nook competition has finished, and I'm really unsurprised to announce I didn't win. So should we have a little look at who won though? Because it's really, I have to admit, it's really, really good. Let's just have a little look first, because I have to admit, I think some of the ones, and this is no slight in anybody's work, I think some of the ones that won the backup prizes, they're good, but I think mine was better, but I'm allowed to think that. Contests, here we are. But the winner, brilliant. Let's have a look. So the magical, actually the winner isn't the one I liked best, actually, now I think about it. It was this one I liked best, the Reader's Emporium, which put a lot, you can tell they put a lot of effort into it. The June one's pretty cool. The Victorian Clock Tower is pretty cool. They went glueless snap fit. I went no snap fit glued. And I'd seen this one knocking around on Instagram for a couple of, probably about a week and a half beforehand. And it's such a cool concept. It's just like, it swaps. I think it swaps anyway. I think that's what they're getting at here, that it swaps the interior when you open and shut the door. Yeah. Which is a really, really cool idea, actually. I can see how that one won. This was a laser cut one. I do feel that Bamboo are pretty hardly pushing, like pretty strongly pushing their laser cut designs at the moment, because obviously they're trying to sell printers that have the laser attachment, which I have to admit, I have a laser cutter, not a Bamboo one. I have a laser cutter, and knowing what I know about laser cutters, the concept of mixing a laser cutter and a 3D printer is, in my humble opinion, absolutely moronic. But they've designed it. Oh, by the way, cat. They're so messy, they're so smoky, and 3D printers work best when they're clean, when they're looked after well. I think you're asking for trouble, but whatever. So this is the one I like the most. It's Reader's Emporium, which looks really cool in its render, but man, this guy's photography's top notch. I need to up my photography game. I'm actually quite an accomplished photographer, which you're not really supposed to say things like that about yourself, but I'm pretty good at photography. But I don't have a very good setup for pure product photography at home, so I need to get that sorted, because these are great. They like really, really add a lot. I love this plant. Absolutely love that detail. And they've done a lot of changing filaments. And I love this skylight as well. That's such a good idea. I wish I'd thought of that, actually. They do a lot of changing filaments at a layer to do this two-tone effect, which, if you remember on the streams, I actually said I really don't want to get into that, just because it requires people to know what they're doing. And in the past when I've done it, you just end up with loads of comments saying, it doesn't work, the printer just started beeping at me halfway through, and you're like, right. So I tend to stay away from it, but it's got great scores, so maybe I just underestimate people. But yeah, so that's pretty much the book nook summed up. I think I probably am a little bit disappointed I didn't get one of these excellent participation awards. But you know what? I wasn't doing it for the competition. I was doing it for something that was good for the stream and was a bit of a longer project that could take up a couple of streams, which it did. It took up twice as many streams as I thought it would. But yeah, there's some really, really cool ones in here. Look at this bad boy. Too cute. Right. So today I will openly admit, about an hour and a half ago, didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. And I started just doodling shapes on my iPad. Oh, actually, no, before we do that, let's just have a little look at the lamp from Thursday. So here it is. Looks pretty cool, doesn't it? You'll notice a couple of changes. So it can, I've added in a section here for a cable run so it can stand vertically if people want it to. It can also rest on its side fine at this angle. But I found when I printed it, it was a little flat for my liking. So I thought I will do a little stand. Now I haven't actually, the stand is currently printing at the moment, so I haven't fully tested this. It works great either way, but I thought, you know, if you just want a bit of a steeper angle, so the light is more upwards, this little stand. So this isn't the final design, but I'm just seeing how the tolerance, so this basically is just set to wedge in there just to keep things tight. So there's no connectors or anything, it just sits on it. And once I know this is okay, I'll do a bit more design on the stand. Although it's okay, but it needs a little bit of, it can be spruced up. So that's the lamp, which I have to admit, the lamp itself has come out absolutely great. I shared some pictures on Instagram and on the community feed, I think, on YouTube, which it looks really good. I'm really, really happy with it. Actually, when I was thinking about it afterwards, I could have really got away without these because the mount is acting as a support, not support, like a rib. So I said on the stream on Thursday that I would prefer if it was clean and it didn't have these braces. And actually, I think I could have got away without them. But you live and you learn. There is also a diffuser cap, which I think's it's not in this file that we're looking at here, but I've printed that off as well, and it looks really good. So, but today, as I said, I didn't really have any ideas for what I wanted to do. Was thinking I want to do another lamp. I'm in a bit of a lamp mood at the moment. I thought, right, just get the iPad out, start doodling some shapes. And I'd seen some lights online which were like uplighters with bounce at the top. So the light is in the base, it shines up, and then you have some sort of shape at the top which bounces the light out. So it's more of an ambient light than any sort of, you know, it's not going to illuminate your room. It's not going to completely, you know, fill your room with light, but it's an accent. So let me get up what I doodle. Now the doodles aren't great because I did them in about 2 seconds this morning. So this is kind of the concept. So it's going to be a central cylinder of some description, and the light will sit inside of here, and then there will be 2 individual shade bounce reflectors, and I think there'll have to be 2 because I want to print them in a way that doesn't require 4 kilos of support. And they will then slide down into some channels, I think, in the cylinder. So from the front, it'll kind of have this aspect. I think I'll probably make these a little tighter. That's a bit much of a gap between here and here. I think I'll make them a little bit tighter. It's a side view, so I'm thinking about a circular top to the, what am I going to call them? Reflectors? Bouncers. I'm going to call them bouncers. And that would be the top view. So the light would be in here and the majority of it would hit the bouncers and shine out. Now, I think essentially we'll have to print the shade bit like this. So if you think that's a side-on view and this is the print bed here. So if we design it that it can be printed that way, then we get away with any real issues with the overhang. I think this bit here will cause some issues, so there probably will need to be some support, but there won't need to be absolutely tons of it. But excusing the sketching ability and the child's handwriting, I promise I don't have any children, and I promise I haven't been implementing child labour to do my designs. This is all me, all my original artwork, all my original handwriting. I think we should be able to design this today. I don't think it'll be too complicated, but famous last words. So let's get over into Plasticity and let's start new file. Right. Let's just set a scale line. A scale line of not 1815. That would be a large lamp. So let's just do, I'm going to do 240. Just so I've got an idea of printer build height. Now I am going to bring in my lamp mount. Simply so I've got a good idea of scale. Remodel parts, mount. Right, and I'm going to correct the center point because it's never right. Let's rotate it on the Z90, minus 90. So this just gives us an idea of scale. So this is the bit that I've designed previously, and I use in most of my lamps that fits the bamboo lighting kit. And even if I actually don't use it in this design, which I might not, it's just good to have it because it gives you an idea of scale, so you know how big the light is and how big, if you want to add a diffuser or anything like that, how much room you need. So I think the best initial thing to do would be to draw the cylinder or essentially the light to fit in. So if we say, let's just go 100, because 100's a round number, and obviously round numbers are better design-wise. So let's just say, so if we imagine, what am I thinking of? I'm thinking probably about there. The reason I'm thinking about there is because I want the bouncers to go all the way from the bottom to the top. So it's like a full line that bisects the design. So it's going to have to fit in that 240. So like say for example that. Whereas if this was longer, which it could be taller, sorry, this point at which you start doing an angle is going to have to be higher, which then means this will get steeper, which then when you're trying to bounce the light out, you don't want it being too steep because then it just bounces it back down, and you don't want it being too straight because then it doesn't catch any light. So I think that's about right, and that will be able to print. Yeah, that'll be able to print. If we imagine this is the print bed here, that overhang won't be too much. But let's just see. So let's bring this into the middle by grabbing it and pressing Y to stick it to the Y axis. Now, I think how I'm going to do this. Well, first things first, I know probably actually want this to be a little closer to the middle. And probably means I want to bring this a little bit. Now, let's just do this as a sheet first. The reason I'm saying that is it'll give us an idea of how wide we want it to be, because it's not going to be like this. This is not what I intend for at all. But what I'm thinking I'm going to do is, if I take the shape that sits at the bottom of the cylinder and I offset it, that gives us like a secondary circle that we can extrude up, which means the shape that the, well, you know, I'll just show you because it's incredibly simple and it sounds complicated when you're talking about it. So if we, let's just go a bit further. It'd help if I had X-ray mode on, even though I despise it. Right. So I think what I'm thinking is, you see, is if we can, we've taken that circle and offset it so they've got like a relationship to each other. I've used it to cut this sheet. So now we have this, which could be one of the bouncers. So I'm going to put a nice fillet on here. Now, this is probably somewhere where there might be a little bit of support as well, because notoriously fillets straight off the bed are a big fat no-go. But I like to live dangerously, as they say. Let's actually thicken it rather than extrude it. So F and then thicken, thicken. Let's get on the straight on view so we can have a go at what we feel about its thickness. What more than that? What more than that? Yeah. Now let's just duplicate it, mirror it across, sorry. Let's get X-ray off again because I cannot understand things visually when I look at X-ray mode. So, yeah, I think I quite like that. I think what I might want to do though is bring these in a little bit closer. Just because the closer to the middle they are, the more bounce the bouncers will bounce. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, right. And now if we take this circle, this is what's great about plasticity, like how you can totally get overwhelmed with curves and having too many curves. And I regularly do have too many curves, but I'm never too worried about deleting curves in plasticity, because if you need them, just switch to line mode with 2, select the edges you want to start with again, just press Shift D, and it just gives you a curve that's basically stolen from that geometry, which is great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to offset this one in like this, and then shall we cut upwards? So yeah, I think a little chamfer on the outside there. Actually, let's just, before we do go any further, let's just check with this how we're doing for intersecting with the mount. Yeah, so we would intersect with the mount. So these actually need to come in a little bit. It's too if I get rid of this, you'll see what I mean. So you see how this is hitting the mountainside. So if we have this slide down inside the other frame, you won't be, you'd effectively have to cut channels in this as well, which would probably be okay, but it just, because it goes across the channel where I have the diffuser, it just limits what you can do. I mean, it doesn't need to be there like that. So if we do this, just make it out a little wider. Yeah. And then the channels that we cut. So let me just do a little test just to be sure. So let's select the main body as the target and then do a Boolean against it. Let's keep the tools. So yeah, that channel cuts in there, no bother. So I think what I will do though is I'll just add a little bit of clearance on these. Don't have to be tight because ultimately they're gonna, you want the thing to slide, the bouncer to diffuse, to slide in easily. So let's do minus 0.1, which, do I want minus 0.1? Maybe a bit more actually. So let's do minus 0.2, which is of course on both of them, so it makes minus 0.4. Yeah. Let's do the same over here. And then I think ultimately we can just mirror this. Cool. Now, if we bring this back in, just add a tiny bit of clearance there as well. So it's not just the top and bottom. It's not just this and this face that has clearance. We also need clearance on this face because the part would interface with it there. So should mirror this across, just get a look. I think what I might want to do is I feel like that's too big an opening. Yeah, that's too big an opening because if you think the light's going to be in the middle here, too much of it's going to be coming out like that. So what I might do is, if I get rid of this one because we're just going to mirror anywhere, and let's imagine we're here on this face. So this is where the top of the lamp is going to be. So the light is going to come out of here. So if we do Control R to add an ISO param, having to look around my microphone to see the keys. I really need to get my microphone / keyboard positioning sorted, but a little bit difficult. So now we should be able to pull these in. Yeah. So we're effectively making the area that the light is going to come up and hit bigger, but we're not cutting into this for the channels. So yeah, that's pretty good. I think, well, I put a chamfer on this side. So this is the side that's going to touch the print bed. But I think I will still have a little chamfer, but I'll not have them even. All right, so that's the basic little like concept. It's a bonkers lamp, as I say. It's more about ambience and looking like a cool, interesting thing on a shelf than let's illuminate the room. But I think some of the coolest lamps ever are like that. Lamps don't just need to be purely functional. So let's just for a brief period, let's forget about the bouncers for a while and focus in on the actual chassis of the light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hollow it. I'm going to run a hollow command. Now hollow commands and sharp edges, which is what we have in here. I haven't added any fillets. Sometimes a lope on themselves, but it's fine here. So let's just do 2 first and bring back in. I want the mount. I don't want the bouncers. Just to see how much room I've got, you see. so I can make those walls thicker. The reason I'm checking that is it's just because the light will be inside. So really, if they're a little bit thicker, you can get away with more filaments to stop the transmission, because if it's really thin, dark, you'll need a dark or a matte filament. It's a little bit thicker, you can sometimes get away with, I mean, you're never going to get away with white, but you can sometimes get away with like a blue or I actually have done the turquoise a couple of times that Bamboo sell, and that can actually be quite good for stopping transmission. The best though is charcoal. Charcoal matte filament from Bamboo is tier 1. I absolutely love that stuff. It's never in, it is actually in stock at the moment, so if you want it, go get it. But last time I bought it, I bought about 10 rolls because it's one of my all-time favorites. Matte filaments just look great anyway, but the charcoal one looks really good. I've actually, I already see it behind, and I will at some point finish it and show it on a stream, but I've actually designed and built an entire home NAS. Actually, do you know what? I might just get it up on stream just so you can have a quick look. Let's save this first though. Let's just go into lights. Let's just call this bouncer. Save it. But yeah, just have a look at this absolutely bonkers thing that I built a while ago. 3D printing server. There it is. Do you like the latest working file too? Starting on tabs, latest working file, latest working file. It's just, and they're all like 10 minutes apart. But let's just see which one's the newest. So as you say, I designed this ages ago in October. Let's just go merged cage version. Yeah, bang, look at this bad boy. It's really cool. It works great. I have to admit, all I need to do in my one at home is add the second cage, and then do I have the front panels? No, I don't have the front panels on this one. And then there is curved front panels which go on all of this to make it one vertical unit that can actually just get extended by adding more of these drive cage mounts. Motherboard, it holds motherboard, holds a network switch, the PSU. It's also got this shelf up here to put some Raspberry Pis on if you use Raspberry Pis in your like home lab setup. But that was a big one I did in October. It's not on MakerWorld because I haven't personally finished it, and I haven't well, it is finished, but I haven't printed and built it out, and I'm not going to upload it till I'm 100% sure I'm happy with it. So, but I just thought it's pretty cool. I can't even remember why I mentioned it now. But yeah, look out for that in the future. So back to the light. So we want this not the top necessarily, because we want it to like be funneling the light up through the chassis of the light anyway. Now, one thing I do need to think about is the cable exit. Now, I think what we'll do is we've got two options here. So the disc light, the LED light from Bamboo sits in here, and then the cable comes out. Now, obviously there, the cable would come out where we're going to put these little bounce reflectors, which wouldn't be ideal to stop them. So we've got two choices really. We can either rotate this slightly and just have the cable come out non-centrally, which is the easiest option, but for some reason I find incredibly triggering. So I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to do that. I promise I'm not going to do that. So I think what we'll do is we'll actually fill in here a little bit. Oh, but that's not going to be, I don't know if I like that solution either. So what I was thinking is you could essentially have the back bit here, these fins be a bit shorter, and then have the cable come out underneath. don't love that solution either now I'm thinking about it. Because if you have the light like on a shelf like that, for example, it's not so bad that you could see, but if you wanted it sideways, you'd then have this section here missing where the cable would come out. I think that would look crap. I shouldn't have made a promise, should I? Because actually, I think it probably does make sense to have the cable come out slightly on an angle, because then you've got options. If you want to display your lamp slightly on the side, you can display it the way that the cable comes out that way. Yeah, I actually think that is the better solution, even though I made bold promises. And thankfully, there's zero accountability on the internet, so I can go back on those promises with absolutely zero guilt. So let's just rotate this a little bit and let's have here be where the cable comes out. So the puck will be here, and then we'll put the hole for the cable here, and then we don't have to mess with these rails or these guides for the bouncers at all. Yeah. So what I'm actually going to do is just take these lines, duplicate them. Let's bring them down just so I've got some idea without having to have X-ray or mode on where that cable channel is. And then I can just draw straight vertically down. Yeah. Just make a little surface here. Need to make it a bit bigger, but hide some of these because they get in the way and you can't select faces. So that is actually going to have to be bigger, because top tip if you're ever designing for the bamboo lighting kit, it's a wonderful cheap light, but if I had £1 for every time I have designed the lamp and then forgotten that on the cable is the switch, which has to fit through this hole, I'd have about £3. But let's just make this a bit wider, a little bit taller. Actually, how big is that? 14mm. I don't have that lamp on me, but I'm 99% sure that's fine. Let's bring this to here, just so everything's nice and flush. And if we put in a couple of, like, what you prefer to do, you can do, what I'm trying to do here is get rid of any overhangs, to get away with 0 supports if possible. You could just add chamfers like that, or you could add fillets and overdo the fillet so it goes past being a full fillet and you get this arc. If you keep going, it gets more and more of a steep arc, which I prefer the look of. And then we should be able to just select these faces, grab on the Z, pull it up, and then that gives us a bit of that space back. Yeah. So let's get a section analysis on, just to have a little look inside. So another thing, obviously this is free floating, so this would need all supports in here, which would be defeating the whole point of trying to avoid supports. So I could just pull this down, but that adds loads of material. It's completely pointless. So I think what I'll do is I'll actually join it to the body. We definitely don't need all that because it's just not needed here. And then, oh, we've got, what's going on there? Am I not? Oh, of course, it doesn't touch on the outside, does it? Right. I think it. Yeah, we're gonna have to extend this all the way out so it fills that gap. Because now, obviously, I've just talked about not wasting material, and that reads a little bit like I'm wasting material. But there's overhangs, and then there's overhangs which are circles, which are an absolutely guaranteed to fail. So we don't want that. On this face here. Right. So now should be able to just put a nice chamfer in on the bottom here. And then we're getting away with using not as little as possible, because there's definitely ways you could do it. Has that gone all the way around? Yeah, it has. Let me just double check that. So selecting that face and then selecting section analysis means it's on there. Yeah, all the way around. It's actually quite a good way of guessing what the slicer is going to see, if you can see. So down in this bottom corner there, you can see that's quite a steep overhang still, but it should be fine. That's all good. I'm going to bring this out. Just noticed that this was... How do I want to do this? Yeah, I'll just draw the circle again. And then steal this geometry. And then that gives us that. And I can just pull... Don't necessarily care about it being the same, but I just want more area for print bed. More is always better. It's like a little mouse house. Now, I don't like this straight top. Let me pull in the bouncers again. So what the question is, do I want that kind of curve? I don't think I do. Or do I want that kind of curve? I think I do. So what we need to try and do here is, yeah, it'd be a good idea to just add some guidelines first. So all I'm doing here is adding a line that I know is on the center with a known point that I can start drawing my curve from. Then I can draw it to the center, and then I can draw it the same on the other side, and then I know I'm getting a nice arc, and then I can scale this in the X direction if I want to change. So if I do spline curve and I go to, let's just say here for now, and then to there like that, and that gives us a perfect little arc. So then if I bring that down and I do a cut, yeah, I feel like that actually makes a massive difference. Let's just hide everything else. Let's isolate this, and let's just add some fillets internally. Not that because it changes a great deal, but it's just if I need to do anything to these walls, it's easy having fillets on, because you can select the selection transits a filleted edge, but it doesn't transit a straight edge. So say, for example, now I can select this edge here. And you see how it takes the whole run. So I'm selecting this one edge and I can actually select everything because of these fillets. If they were still right angles, it would stop there. As you can see here, because I didn't fillet the insides of this, it stops at that right angle, which sometimes it's actually quite handy. I think I might actually chamfer these. I don't know why. Don't want to add a fillet internally here because we'll have to do the same to the bouncer parts. Let's have a look with these back in. Quite like it. Of course, we added that curve, so now these don't match up with the surface because we chopped a bit off, didn't we? So let's just eyeball it. There you go. So I'm thinking, this is the bit where sometimes when I design stuff and it's relatively quick, I look at it and go, right, what more should I do to it? But I don't necessarily know that I want to do a great deal more to it. I think I could add, I think I might rib this. So let's just take a copy of it. I actually think I won't need the ribs. I think what I would do is print this with fuzzy skin. I feel like I might want these a bit thicker, but let's just... So I can actually bring just this face out a little bit to make them thicker. Then they're not with this. I mean, I could just select these two and then redo the grooves, which wouldn't be an issue because we've got plenty of room on the inside. But I think I prefer them. Let's just have a little look. That's just ridiculous, but I just want to see what I feel about thicker. Yeah, I prefer thicker. Super. So glad that I did all that filleting. But that's too thick because that will actually come. No, you know what? Do I actually? Is that what I want? I think that's a better middle ground. Feels a bit more substantial than this. So we'll have to add some material in the middle here, which, because I added those fillets, see how easy that was to select all of that face? So selected everything together. So now I can just add, not too much, because there'll be a point where the corners will intersect with each other. See here? So once that starts to go over there, it has a little bit of a computational nightmare. But can I get rid of these? Can, but I'd have to do... Let's just do this so it just makes it a little bit easier to add the thickness we need. I'm just going to take some of these fillets and chamfers. Fillets and chamfers, not the whole thing. Just means we can re-fillet them once I've got the dimensions that actually want with the thickness of the bouncers. I don't know how many times I've said bouncers, and it's a ridiculous word for what I'm trying to communicate, but so let's get this, take away this, so it's cut away this extra area here, keep the tools. And just add a little bit of that clearance back in. Do the same on this side. Right, now let's just... No, let's not just mirror it across, because actually we can. Watch this. Yeah, we can mirror it across, but I'll just have to separate inside first, because obviously this is... Oh no, I don't want to mirror it because I've got that hole there, haven't I? So let's not mirror it. Let's just do it properly. Although, no, I can just do this. He says with unbelievable confidence, might I just add. Wicked. So that's effectively just, because I cut that out and then I mirrored it. It's just mirrored this section. So I've not then re-mirrored the hole and all this mound. So let's actually mirror this up to there. Cut that out. Be shot of that part, and then can I select these two, and can I mirror them up? No, let's not do that. Oh no, it does, fits perfect. And then boolean them all back together. And don't keep the tools because I don't need them again. So now, if we get rid of this, I won't get rid of that one, I'll just hide it, and we mirror this one across. Yeah, that was worth doing. They look better. Yeah, definitely prefer that. So shall we add back in? I actually don't think we need the internal ones now because it's set, but it does look a little bit nicer when there's a bit of a fillet there. And actually, you can see these edges, so let's just fillet them anyway. Takes seconds. So get rid of this because I'll only end up printing it by mistake and it's no longer fitting the bouncers. So that's my backup. Now, I think what I'll end up doing is printing fuzzy skin. The only thing I have to be careful with the fuzzy skin is fuzzy skin, effectively what it does is it takes your model, and when it does the paths in the slicer, it adds a little bit of wobble and a little bit of wibble to give you a texture. but that is at the expense of the dimensions that you modeled. So if something's 10 centimeters wide, with the wibble and the wobble, it might be, well, you can actually set the distance in the slicer. It might be 10.8 or something like that. I can't remember what the default is, but so say, for example, here, where we want these to slide into here, if I was to print this fuzzy skin, just by default with no changes, it would probably take away the tolerance we've added. So I'll probably have to select these faces in the slicer when I do the fuzzy skin, or I could just add more margin. But adding more margin means if I don't do it fuzzy skin, or somebody prints it without fuzzy skin, they'll be rattly. And one thing I have learned is lamps sit on the side and they don't need to be moved, and there's very stable static things, but for some reason people get really upset when things aren't like tightly glued together. Anything that moves even a little bit tends to be the only thing that ever gets said about my lamps on MakerWorld. So I do try to make things have quite a tight press fit tolerance. So, but that would, imagine you just did fuzzy skin and you had all three sides adding, say, 0.8 or 0.5 with the fuzzy skin, it would close that up to the point that they wouldn't be able to fit in there. So what you would do in the slicer is just do these faces, potentially with a modifier. I think actually you can now paint fuzzy skin, so possibly you just do it by select the face, but I'll have a look when I put it in the slicer. But in addition to a smooth one and then a fuzzy skin added in the slicer, let's just add a ribbed version for your lighting pleasure. So let's just, and the way I'm going to do it is I'm just going to do, should we do 1 millimeter? D1. 1. Bang. It's 1 millimeter ridiculous. Yes, it is. Let's do 1.5. Well, let's see what it looks like. So let's select this. Has this selected it all, or has it got a sneaky little slice? No, it's all right. Let's pull that all the way up to the top. And let's now do a radial array and just add 6.3 million of these things to get a texture. So even number. That is an even number. Yeah. Now, 196. Do I dare Boolean? I do. But I save first. Actually, do they touch? Well, yeah, they do touch. Right. Fingers crossed, guys. I'm going to do Boolean on 196 things at once. In Fusion, this would definitely kill it. Oh, that's literally done it straight away. I actually expected to have to sit and wait. It hasn't. So they mustn't touch. Oh, they don't, look. I want to do this then. Might just do a few more so they actually touch, which is a ridiculous way to use radial arrays, but let's just keep adding them. Yeah, so now there's this intersection here. So now we can really see whether, right. Oh, I didn't even get a chance to get my cursor there. Did it straight away. Bang, water. I don't know, plasticity is excellent. I think this machine is also excellent. And to be fair, these are all very simple shapes, but I have seen things explode before. So let's just hide this for now. And what we want is this line, and is that different? Fingers crossed when we press delete redundant topology here, it just gets rid of it. Didn't. Why is that there? Why is that there? Why is that there? Why is that different to the other side? I don't know, and I'm not going to get obsessed with this because unfortunately, is it the same on the other side as well? Yeah, it is. So it's obviously something when I mirrored it, but it really doesn't matter. Do I have that original curve that I used to do cutting? I do not. Remember me moments ago when I was saying you can just steal geometry back, so I delete things all the time. But, oh, actually, to be fair, just use this. Can we just use this? Let's just try and extend this. So what I'm trying to do here, I'm just chuntering away at myself without actually explaining. I'm just trying to get a line that I can cut all those pipes with, so we're just on the body. There is other ways to do it, but don't, yeah, that won't extend, right. Just go scale on the X0. Just to get it flat, so it's planar rather than curved. Might now actually let me extend it. Whoa, look at that for an extension. Hey, thanks, Plasticity. That's exactly what I meant. Not. Maybe it would just be easier if I did this. Shift D to duplicate those, and then if we get these and we isolate them, and then we do this point to this point and we loft, we just assume G2 is what we need. Make a surface out of it. So now if we pull back our pipes, actually we need to extend that out, don't we, because it doesn't go far enough. The mathematics that must go on when you're doing stuff like that, because it's bloody magical. So let's select this and then this and do a Boolean. Oh, would you believe it? Look at that. So now we have this ribbed pattern which goes all the way around. Well, actually it doesn't go all the way around because we need to get rid of it here. Because obviously then it couldn't, the things wouldn't be able to slide in, but that's not a problem. But it nicely comes up to this edge here. Yeah, that's great. So let's just take this line, scale the line on the Y, make it really long. Actually, I don't need to do this because they added this great new feature in Plasticity. What I was trying to do there is make that line long enough that it cut through the whole thing. But you don't actually have to do that now, because if I select this and then I select extend, automatically extends it to make sure it goes through the whole body. Which is super little feature, but it's a massive time saver. Could zoom in rather than trying to peep 1 pixel. Let's just add some little fillets on here just to make my brain feel better. Yeah. So we didn't do an even number the second time around because it's not the same on the other side. But whatever. It's 0.5 millimeter different on one side to the other. And let's Boolean all of those together. All right, cool. So let's bring in those two bouncers again. Not that bit. We got rid of that bit. So light sits here, shines up on these, and just gives you a little bit of a glow and a little bit of bounce lighting. Now, I could add something in here. Some sort of coloured cap, which would add a little bit more would give a little bit of like the light that comes out the middle here wouldn't be entirely wasted. It would give a little bit of like colour. But I think what I'd rather do is test this print first and just see what I think. I actually think it's pretty cool. I like it. It's very modern. It's very different. It's actually weirdly got a little bit of a feel of garden lights, which isn't really what I was going for, but we're here. This is what we are. Do I want to put in? Yeah, I think I might actually put in a little. Let's say fill it now. I don't actually think that's particularly good. Let's not do that. I think this might be the point where I go, it's finished. Or it's ready to test. It's not finished. Ah. See, we missed something. The hole. The hole got covered when we did the ribbing. So, but it's okay, because what we can do is we can pretend that this is a great lesson that can be taught, and I didn't at all do that by mistake. So scale Y0. Let's just do a little section analysis to have a bit look at where we think where the flow is. Okay. I'm getting something wrong here and I can't quite figure out what it is. Why? I actually just do this instead. So get rid of the section analysis. Don't join these yet. Get just this. And then we can grab the direct geometry. And then if we bring back that side's pipes, and we cut it. Yeah, that definitely was what I meant. I actually didn't realise until relatively recently that the cut plane goes based on your view, or as near as it can do. Must have just been doing it automatically without realising it, but there we go. Perfect. I'm actually not going to join them just in case there's other changes I need to make in the coming hours once I've tested this. Will this go on the test today? Depends how the stand goes for that lamp that we showed at the beginning. If that goes okay, then yeah, I'll get these on today. I actually need to pick what I'm uploading today to MakerWorld. I haven't uploaded anything yet. Did some nice organic vases that I might add. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do today. But I think that will do for today's design. I was hoping that I was going to be able to time bringing all the parts back in beautifully there, but I didn't. So we don't. Oh, hey, there's another thing. Nearly missed it. So it cut all the way through, didn't it? So let's join those back. But that side's slow. So let me know in the comments what you think. If you think it's a cool design, if you think it's completely crap, if you think it's a moronic design, just have at it. And what I'm going to do is, if you comment, you feed the algorithm, which in turn feeds me. So do what you like. Please be kind. Yeah, I think I'll print the ribbed version. I actually really like it, as much as I was saying that I thought I could just leave it like that. But let's go into the shell zone. Let's go over to Chrome. And let's go to I'm not even logged in on this computer still. Oh no, I'm not logged in on Chrome. MakerWorld, oh, there's me. Sure. This is me on MakerWorld, Abstractia design. I do design a day, Monday to Friday now. Used to do design a day every day, but I take weekends off now for my own well-being and health of mind. 645 models on there. I have all of them under a commercial membership. So if you want, like any designs and you want to sell them, the prints, not the models. If you want to sell prints of the models on your stores, go for it. Subscribe, don't steal. Subscribe, do not steal. Subscribe, do not steal. You can do it through MakerWorld or you can do it through Patreon. There's a couple of tiers. Top tier gives you the models and all the use of all the images, which is really handy if you just want to have a one-stop crash bang wallop. Your Etsy store's kind of going for it. Oh, the iPad stands up the other day, by the way. Looks great. Yeah. So if you want to support the work and you want to use these designs in your store, that's how you do it. Don't steal, as I said, because MakerWorld scans platforms every week. I get a store shut down somewhere, so you won't get away with it. You might get away with it for a week, you won't get away with it for long. And it is incredibly annoying and incredibly time consuming, but it has to be done because you have to protect the assets for the people who are subscribing to you. And if you steal the models, you're stealing my work, which is my time, which is my income. And you wouldn't steal from somebody's payslip. Well, you would if you're I won't say the word, but don't. Yeah, I made it as simple as possible. There's also, if you subscribe, a separate portal that makes it easier for you to get the assets. I've got bundled zips and things like that, so it's not like you're not having to go to every single image, right click, save image as, blah blah blah. There's on the portal that you get if you're a subscriber, I give a login and a password. You can just press click on a model and it pulls a zip file down with all the models and all the images, so you can just get to work straight away. Try and make it as easy as possible for subscribers. So yeah, that was my shill. I hope you like the model. If you don't like the model, as I say, just comment. If you do like the model, also comment. Don't just comment if you don't like the model. But hope you all have a wonderful Tuesday. It's been a long weekend, a fun weekend. I don't think I'm streaming tomorrow. I think I'll be streaming Thursday. If I change my mind overnight, I will put an announcement out. I may stream tomorrow. I normally plan on streaming Thursday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. But I'll see how I feel tomorrow. Or if I have any good ideas. If I don't have something I'm desperate to design, then maybe I'll just not stream tomorrow. But yeah, have a great day. Thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, feed the algorithm, food on my plate. So yeah, that's it for today. Goodbye, have fun, and I will see you next time.